So in this webinar, we're going to talk about advanced SEO and AIO. Now, what on earth is AIO? We all know SEO, search engine optimization, but there's a new kid on the block, AIO. In other words, optimizing our content in all its varied and many forms for AI search, artificial intelligence search. And this comes in a couple of different formats, a couple of different challenges, and we're going to look at those in some depth in this particular session, as well as not paying just lip service to SEO, because SEO doesn't suddenly disappear. So your Google friendliness of your content is, for the time being, still going to be a highly relevant and important thing to be focusing on. But we mustn't lose sight of the fact that the boundaries, the algorithms, and the game is very, very much changing. So I'm going to deal with this in two parts. We're going to do part one, which is latest SEO trends and how to optimize for those. So search engine optimization, in other words, being friendly to Google and the other more, let's call them now, traditional search engines. And then in part two, I'm going to focus on AI optimization. I said automation there, but optimization, and explain to you the differences and actually some of the very, very pertinent things you can do with your content right now so that you position yourself with this fast emerging opportunity. Let's hope that your competition are not listening or watching this, because there is a big opportunity for competitive advantage here if you can get in early in the game of AIO. So I'm going to come to that in a moment. So we're going to have a little look at some of the current SEO trends. We're going to talk about why SEO is still really crucial in your digital marketing activity and really how it's evolving, because there are changes afoot, even within the more traditional styles of search that obviously many of us have grown up in. So we're going to look at how to improve visibility, how to really increase the traffic and ultimately conversions, because just so that you appear in the search results doesn't actually then convert into business. So we need to see how we can really optimize that to convert that attention into actual buyer behavior, which obviously for all of us is absolutely critical. And we're going to look at how AI is integrating now within the more traditional forms of search engine optimization. And of course, for many of us, and we're already aware of this probably on a personal level, because we are doing this more and more, searching through voice, as well as obviously through our smartphones, which has been very much a trend that we've seen over the last 15 to 20 years, and it is still growing. That is still a growing trend. So I'm going to deal with both of these parts, if you like, of this particular talk in step by step, because I know that for a lot of you, it will be a case of almost seeing this as a checklist of things to go and check out. And that's what I would encourage you to do. So I'm going to make this very, very practical. It's going to be a session that will focus on almost, here are the things to be aware of, but here are the things to go away and research and go deeper into, because obviously with the time available, we can only really kind of touch on some of these issues and these opportunities, but it is then after that, obviously, you can take away these things. That's a little bit of a list and a focus of where the priorities we believe actually currently are. So this is very practical, and it's very, very much for now. So in the first instance, we need to be thinking at step one to prioritize our customer, visitor, or as is typically talked about in tech terms, our user experience, or the UX. So prioritizing that is absolutely key. Google's core web vitals, or the way that it sees its own algorithms, focuses in a lot of cases really on the quality of the customer experience or the visitor's experience. Yeah, the content is obviously important, and we'll talk about that in more detail in a moment, but actually how somebody accesses the content is absolutely vital. This is number one in our steps. So focusing on load times, focusing in on the interactivity potential, and also the visual stability of your content, both through desktop delivery and through smartphones. So the tactical actions, the things that we can do to make sure that our load times on our sites are very, very fast. The interactivity is there in terms of it being appropriate for the device that the person is searching or looking at our content through, and also the visual stability. So actually making sure that everything works right on every device. The tactical actions that we can take is we need to improve site speed. This is one of the key measures that Google takes when it actually rates and ranks your site. So wherever you can, compressing your images down to a level where they are still, beautifully creative and they look amazing. So there's no sort of pixelated things going on, stuff still, in beautiful focus and it's looking great, but they're compressed down. We're also going to look at lazy loading, which for some of you may not be something that you're particularly familiar with, but it's important. In other words, only loading stuff. And again, this might be with your developer or your web agency to be looking at this. So lazy loading is where things only load if they are needed. So in other words, they sit in a kind of a reactive state until somebody actually asks to see them or that the site actually presents them. So of course, that will speed things up and make the site a lot more responsive and fast. And also minimizing code. You don't need any baggage. Obviously, as we know, if we're carrying a rucksack full of stones or something like that, it's a heavy weight. But the more we can kind of get rid of stones that we don't need to be carrying, the lighter the backpack, the easier the journey. Well, it's the same with code. So minimizing the code, making your code super efficient. So maybe challenge if you've got an agency or a web designer who looks after your site for you, or if this is actually you, maybe challenge and say, can you kind of tell me where we are with this? And do we have a continuous improvement program for improving our site speed? Because that is going to be important, certainly going forward as far as Google algorithms are concerned. We also tactical actions that we can take will include responsive design. And we've known this for a long, long time. And we've always said, that phrase mobile first. Well, it has never been more true than it is right now. So ensure that your website particularly is performing optimally across all devices. You need to be testing through different browsers, through different devices, both smartphone and different types of smartphone, ideally, certainly tablets, different types of tablets, and of course on all of the desktop browsers that your audience is using to search on your site. Google will be doing this in the background too. It will be looking at your site from all these different perspectives and then giving you a rating. And as well as that, obviously, we have content layout. So we'll talk about the actual content in a moment, but the layout of the content is really, really key here. So it has to be clear, readable, and well structured. Allowing words the room to breathe. I always kind of use that as a little bit of a phrase. Those kind of pages that you see where it just feels relaxed and confident because there's not too much there. They haven't overuse that really important digital real estate for, cramming it full of stuff. Those are the websites of the late 1990s. We're now, a long way from that. So actually letting words breathe, giving them the room and space they need. Google, in its algorithms, will be actually ranking you for the space that you give. So well-structured content is also really, really key. Step number 2 is taking a little bit of a step forward, if you like, in our SEO journey and optimizing for voice search. Why does this matter? Well, a lot of sources are now saying that over 50% of searches will be voice-based through this year. So whether we've hit that number now, whether it's 40 or whether it's 60, doesn't really matter. A significant proportion of searches for your content, for your website, will be coming through voice-based search. And we all know that. We're all doing it. After all, we've got devices in and around the home, in the office, and we're doing it on our phones, doing it when we're driving, in the car, when we're commuting. It is now. So the actionable steps that you can take to make sure that you are relevant for a voice search result is to target featured snippets. In other words, structuring your content for concise, direct answers to the kinds of questions your target audience is asking. Now, there's a few little things to unpick there. Your target audience, the questions they're asking. This might require you to almost take a step back from your SEO at this point and think, how deeply do I know my customer? Who is my customer? Have I got a professionally intimate relationship with them? Am I actually listening to their activity and the way that they interact with us? If you're not, then there's room for improvement there before you even start to think about voice search optimization. But let's assume that you kind of know a little bit about how they would be asking questions of your content or of your product and service. You can then take the step of using conversational keywords. In other words, optimizing for very natural language and question-based queries, because that is, after all, how many of us have grown up through our use of search. We will ask a question of search. We don't necessarily put in a standard, what we call long tail phrase, and expect to just get an answer that comes through with the most perfect search result. We'll actually be asking questions of the search engine. And again, this is what we'll see when we look at AIO, expect to get a very precise answer back. So wouldn't it be great if you were that precise answer? So as your target prospect or customer is searching in natural language questioning, actually asking questions and querying the kind of things that you can offer, wouldn't it be great if you appeared there? Well, one of the other things that you can do as part of this voice search journey, if you like, and maybe transition from your typical content focus, is to focus on local SEO. So voice search is very heavily linked with local intent. And this is why a lot of us will use the phrase near me after the actual query. So if you are aware of the target audience, your target prospects and customers, and you can align your physical geography with where they are searching from, but also searching to. So it might be your country, but it could be your region, it could be your county, your city, or your very, very local locality. So the near me is really important. It always has been. We know that. Location in Google search has always been a thing, but it's upped again in terms of voice search. And the tools you can use to get a little bit of a deeper dive into this are Google's Voice Search Console. That is now a thing. And also one of my favorites, which is Answer the Public. Go and do a little search for those two tools, because they will give you a lot more guidance as to the little nuances around voice search, which hasn't really matured yet, but it will very, very soon. So I want you to get into that now, because now is the time to be getting very, very practical and tactical over those steps. Step 3 then is mastering mobile SEO. Google's mobile first indexing, which we've had for a long time, but it does mean that your mobile site is the primary version now of search as far as Google is concerned. This is a really important consideration. Most of the time, a web developer, web designer, your marketing agency are going to be looking at your stuff on a big screen. When they probably send you something over by email to critique or to sign off, you're probably also looking at it on a big screen. Do not forget that this is mobile first. Go straight to your smartphone and actually see how it looks on there. The testing that your agency or your designer or your web guy is going to be doing should be mobile first. And that's what you need to be hearing from them. So even though they might have done this incredible desktop version, make sure that they focus in and prioritize the mobile version first. It is the primary version of your web presence as far as Google SEO is concerned. So the tactical actions you can take: accelerated mobile pages, AMP. This is a thing. And you can boost your mobile load speed with AMP integration, as we call it. So AMP, accelerated mobile pages. Again, it's a dev thing. It's for the developers to do probably. But if you've got a WordPress site, that will be something with plugins that you can actually do yourself if that is relevant to you and it doesn't exist already. Responsive and fast design, again, is always a key priority. You need to be prioritizing speeds of under 3 seconds load time. So if you go onto your site, irrespective of the strength of your network connection on your smartphone, your site needs to appear. Again, lazy loading will help with this, but your site needs to appear in under 3 seconds. That is so important. And of course, you can avoid, things taking a little bit of extra time or being a little bit laggy by avoiding intrusive pop-ups, for example. The mobile experience needs to be clean and visitor friendly. Google rewards you for it, but also the visitor will give you that feedback as well. And you can do tests. The tools available are Google's mobile friendly test. You can look at page speed insights, or there are some Chrome dev tools that you can actually plug in to your Chrome browser to enable you to test all of these things. We're getting a little bit deeper into the kind of the techie side of things, but there's always help at hand. There's always a developer who should be well versed in these things. And of course, these various tools will have tutorials there if you want to upskill your own abilities to at least be able to brief, if not have a conversation with somebody more technical, or do this stuff yourself. Okay, so step 4 is beginning to now tease out this whole idea of how AI is playing out now in SEO. We're going to begin to start to see the phrase AIO, but for now, this is AI in search engine optimization. AI is already being used by Google as part of its evolution of its various tools. So what we're seeing is that AI in SEO, so it helps to personalize the customer journey. It's going to predict search trends. It's going to automate optimization. We're going to see this stuff become more and more accessible, really, for us as marketers. That's probably quite the right word. And it will enhance everything that we're doing. So we're going to be able to leverage AI within SEO and the activities that we're doing ourselves. We're going to see AI-powered keyword research. Tools like Clearscope and Frase, that's Frase, are both well worth checking out because they are going to help you to supercharge your keyword research. A lot of the more traditional tools are possibly a little bit lacking in the kind of AI nuance, if you like, or that kind of scalability. You can go very much deeper with the likes of Clearscope and Frase, who have been designed off the back of AI capability to go deeper into keyword research, and particularly if you're looking at a very segmented market audience or breaking into a new market sector, then doing kind of deeper keyword research into those sectors is definitely now possible using AI-powered keyword research. Content gap analysis is another thing that you can do. This will identify opportunities to very much outrank the competition. So by identifying, using AI, where the gaps in a particular topic or a particular subject, or some maybe thought leadership that you want to kind of take ownership for as part of your brand or as part of your communications. Content gap analysis, again, do a search on this using AI because it will open up some opportunities where your competition probably aren't playing, and probably you're not playing right now. And it'll give you an opportunity to rank for search in those new areas. So if there are particular topics that you want to be identified first against the competition against, then start to use AI-enhanced SEO to begin to position yourself in that way. And one of the things I'm finding I'm talking a lot about right now is predictive analytics. So actually forecasting traffic and ranking changes using AI itself. So this is a little bit of a crystal ball exercise. I mean, there is no kind of defined sort of definitive view on kind of how best to do this, but I would always be beginning with something like ChatGPT and actually feeding in the kind of SEO results and the kind of ranking that I've got currently and saying, look, ChatGPT, here's some of the historic data that we've actually got here in terms of our performance. Here are some of the trends. What else are you seeing and what do you think we should do next? So actually starting to forecast and get ahead of the curve so that if you're in a highly competitive industry, you can actually get a 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 steps ahead of the competition. So thinking really creatively about SEO and not just relying on the old traditional tools just to help your pages to rank currently, because as soon as they do rank currently, the algorithms have changed tomorrow. And then, of course, you've got to do it all over again. So it would be lovely to be either at the front of the wave or in front of the wave to stand a little bit of chance of getting some sustainability in your activity. So you could get very, very precise and very, very savvy if you can start to leverage AI within your SEO. Step 5 is optimizing for featured snippets. Now, these are often shown or described as position 0. And we've all seen these. You know the way that the Google search results pages now are presented to you. It's moving away from, oh, I'm on page 7. We now have this almost continuous page for a lot of topics. And you need to be positioned. Ideally, it isn't called now first page. So if anyone still says, oh, I can get you onto first page of Google, well, they're talking kind of like 1998, probably at that kind of time. And what they should be saying is actually, let's focus in on position 0. So position 0 are those question-based query answers. It is structured content to answer common questions, where you see those bullet pointed answers or 1, 2, 3 steps, to solving this particular challenge. This is position 0. This is the featured snippets, and they're ideal for voice search because they're a very simple way to follow. So, if you search through Google, for example, and say, Google, I've got these particular items in my fridge. Can you tell me what recipes I can make? And then it will come back with a series of steps to be cooking those particular ingredients and give you a nice menu to eat from at the end of it. And that would be in a position 0, so a step-by-step output from your query. And these would be the common questions that your customers are going to be asking. So you need to know what those things are so you can then start to structure your content accordingly. We've also got something called schema markup. We're going a little bit more into dev world here, but this is providing structured data to increase the visibility. There are things you can do behind the scenes. And again, if you've got a WordPress site, there are plugins to help you with schema markup. I'll explain a little bit more about this when we talk about AIO in just a moment. But basically, it's helping Google and the other search engines to understand how you are encouraging a customer or a visitor to work their way through the journey through your website. So when we talk about visitor journey, customer journey, website journey, it is truly a journey. And if you can use schema markup, it increases the confidence, if you like, of the Google algorithms to say, okay, you've actually choreographed a journey here. Well done. Okay, we're going to rank you higher. So it is something that's kind of a behind the scenes thing, but it has this double effect of actually enhancing the experience for the customer, as well as actually playing into the hands of the search algorithms. And concise, direct answers will increase the chances of appearing as the featured snippet. Probably goes without saying, if you are being helpful to the search engine algorithms, they're going to be helpful to you. This is the whole point of search. What the engines are doing is they're trying to present back the most useful items. So if you do concise, direct answers, you don't do woolly marketing, fluffy content. You're just focusing in on this position 0 featured snippet because it's practical and helpful. Then at least that might hook somebody in to your website, to the content, to actually get them to go deeper. That's what we're looking for here. Position 0 is very helpful in its own right, but it can also be a great hook to get somebody to dive deeper into the added value content beyond. Now, these are all things which some of them you may well be aware of, some of them might be new to you, but it is absolutely vital to stay in touch with the latest Google algorithm updates. We've seen some changes over the last few years. There have been some, and I can never remember what these acronyms stand for, but you might have heard of or read about BERT and MUM. So MUM is the new version of BERT, okay? And it enables you to really, if you can keep in touch with these, get some good feeds. Twitter's always a good, or x.com now, is always a good feed for this. You can basically be following or creating some lists or follow hashtags in there for any updates. You probably won't see updates to BERT now. That's not being supported, but MUM is, M-U-M. And this will enable you to stay very close to some of the algorithm updates. There are lots of other names given to the kind of lower level versions of the updates, but that is the big one really, that's kind of almost the overarching umbrella under which a lot of these kind of more tactical changes happen. And you can use the Google Search Console or Moz Pro, other two big kind of tools that will help to keep you in touch with those, or follow some of the influencers in this particular space if you want to stay really, really up to speed with this. This should be the stuff that if you have a web agency or a developer on tap, either internally or externally to your team or your organization, they should be up to date with this stuff. But keep testing them, keep dropping these kind of words into the conversation, see how they react, because they should be aware of this stuff. But focusing yourself, though, on high quality content is key. It's still ensuring content is comprehensive and solves the queries or questions that your audience is going to be asking. That's the absolutely key thing here. And any major algorithm changes, you can obviously keep up to date with SEO news and trends by just watching out. And of course, these are very well publicized. And that will, in essence, bring you up to date. That will enable you to then be measuring your SEO success and really deciding what your key metrics are, because the metrics aren't how many visitors did we get to our website through SEO. It isn't that at all. It's how did they begin the journey and then move through the journey. And we've got a lot of changes. Google itself, in terms of Google Analytics or GA4, which is the current version, has changed beyond belief. Much more, it has to be said, in terms of focusing in on what marketers need. And the three key areas really that we're looking at here is the key organic growth. So one of your key metrics, one of your key KPIs has got to be how you're seeing and tracking growth from your search engines, organic traffic. We're not looking here at paid content here. We're looking at organic traffic. The organic traffic, either stock content or flow content that you have, is absolutely key for your sustainability of your brand and your business. So that is your number one priority, in my view. Yes, you can pay for paid ads and the like, but the sustainable businesses of this time are all focusing in and doubling down on organic traffic. That's what they're looking for. They're also looking and setting key metrics for keyword rankings, monitoring and performing against the top keywords in their own sector, not generic phrases, not phrases that maybe your competition are going after, but looking at the gap analysis I talked about before, looking at those thought leadership topics, making sure your products and services are found. Those are the keywords that are coming in off the back of that position zero, that constantly answering the key questions that your audience is asking. That's what this is all about. And when you look into GA4, Google Analytics, its current version, you will see that one of the key performance indicators, and really key in uppercase performance indicators, is this word engagement. A lot of the old terms that we used to use, like bounce rate and dwell time and this, that, and the other, those are gone pretty much. What Google is now focusing in on. And of course, this also gives us a little bit of a clue as to where the SEO is leading as well, because SEO, Google Analytics, it's all under the same umbrella. And the three key things here that I'd like you to really think about and start to, when you look at your Google Analytics, your GA4, is start to think, okay, how are we performing on that with our target audience that we really want to engage with? It's time on page, engaged sessions, and conversions. Those are the three proper KPIs. It isn't visitors. It isn't all the other stuff that are the vanity metrics that maybe most of the rest of the business understands. These are the big three, because these are the three that are going to point as to the direction that your customer is taking through the site, and that will lead to actual conversions. And those conversions could, of course, be commercial conversions, actual sales and revenue in your business. So time on page, engaged sessions, in other words, how engaged are people? How long do they spend actually in that content that you've done? And actually, how many of those then convert? Those are the big three. And the tools that you can use, obviously GA4, Google Analytics, you can use Ahrefs or SEMrush. A lot of people who I'm working with now are using SEMrush to explore this stuff. But for me, Google Analytics is still the go-to to find all of that out. And that really brings us around to, okay, that's kind of what we would expect from SEO, probably. But what about part two? Let's now get into part two. This is the emerging piece, and this is the bit that I'm really, really excited about because there's commercial advantage in this, and it is coming through in well, huge volumes, huge amounts. So AIO, AI optimization, artificial intelligence optimization. This is using AI-driven tools and algorithms to optimize for search engines, including Google, but not Google as we knew it, but something like Google Gemini, and AI-first engines like Perplexity. You could put ChatGPT and a load of the others in here, but Perplexity currently, as I'm talking here, seems to be currently leading the race in terms of, well, certainly the one most talked about and the one probably most admired for the way that it does AI search for you. So why does this matter? For you as a marketer, content creator, strategist, planner, business owner, whatever your role is and whatever level you are, this matters. AI-powered search engines are reshaping search. They're offering answers with citations and searcher-driven experiences. They're not just presenting you with a great long page of results that you then have to sift through. They're giving you the answer. They're giving you the answer with citations. In other words, they're telling you how I figured this answer out. I'm not just going to present you with, oh, this page because it ranks well. They're actually doing a real deep dive for you. They're your little assistants, really. Imagine having somebody or a team of people around you that you could just say, can you just go and find out a little bit about that topic? And can you tell me what time that would be? And yeah, if I look at here, what would that say? They're going off and they're actually doing the deep dive and presenting you with a single result that in theory, because it's cited, because you've got academic research results and references behind it, if you choose to put that into your prompt, it can be as detailed, as scientific, as commercial as you want it to be. These are the new searcher-driven experiences that are coming through with the likes of Perplexity. So we as marketers, content creators, need to respond right now. A significant proportion of search is now going down this route. So step one is AI-powered keyword research. We can find AI tools now that will identify the long tail keywords and then user intent faster and more accurately. AI tools such as Surfer SEO and Clearscope, again, there we are, Clearscope, for keyword clustering. Really interesting little nuance there, keyword clustering, actually pulling the long tail phrases together from other kind of shorter tail phrases and actually then clustering those so that you can actually be creating long form content or short form content with the most relevant search terms in there for AI, as well as, and I'll put this in brackets, as well as old traditional Google search. So you're going to get a win-win-win. You're going to be more precise and accurate for Google. You're going to be giving your customer a great experience. And then as these customers start to use AI tools to do searches, you're ahead of your competition because they're not doing this yet. You can, but they haven't even thought about this. So get in early. Those early into AI, monitoring performance as well as they continuously optimize based on these data-driven insights, because of course there's a monster mountain. I was trying to think of how I was going to describe that, but there's a monstrous mountain in a positive sense of data based around this particular topic. It is just there. You can just ask your AI, your favorite AI, to do the deep dive analysis, and it will come back with stuff that's aligned to your activities. This is super exciting stuff. Step two, AI-assisted content creation. Well, this is kind of one that I guess a lot of us know, a lot of us have been playing with. But maybe there's a chance here to do it slightly differently. Well, a lot of us have been using ChatGPT to write our presentations and our latest management reports for our boss and all these kinds of things, maybe even content for our public website or our social media. But think a little bit more deeply. If we've now got AIO, AI optimization, AI can generate content optimized for search engine optimization, or AIO. It'll identify content gaps and improve relevancy. Tools like Frase with an F, Frase, Copy.ai, Market Muse. There are many, many others. I'm just giving you a sense of ones to maybe go and have a little look at first. But once you kind of put those into the search, obviously there are countless others popping up as well. These are just some of the ones who are being featured more readily and regularly actually in the media. But these are tools that will help you to not only write great content, but also ensure that it is ready optimized for your target audience. The skill, of course, is in the prompt. The skill, of course, is in telling them who your audience is and how you want to engage with them, the kinds of channels that you're going to use and the products and services on offer, because then the hard work can begin for these AIs. So it is in the power of the prompt. So that is always going to be important. You can't expect them to give you the optimum answer if you don't give them the optimum briefing. So always remember at this stage and at this step, it is about how you are managing and producing the outputs, but with AI's support. So the tactical steps you can take are generate optimized content using AI to create SEO-friendly copy, as I've just mentioned, but also analyzing competitor content, using AI to reverse engineer the top ranking pages of your competitors. There's another one. That's quite interesting. If you've ever tried this, it's fascinating. And it's also really, really rewarding to watch the impact it has, both on your ranking, but also the detriment of your competitors' ranking as well. You can leapfrog, even if you're, packing a punch that's way above your actual weight in the search rankings. You can be able to do this by reverse engineering some of their best pages. That doesn't mean including their brand name on your particular site or your particular content posts. It means actually using what they've figured out to your advantage. So there's something worth doing. Again, use ChatGPT to go deeper into an explanation of that if that one sounds interesting. But reverse engineering top ranking competitor pages, pop that into Perplexity and you will find a lot of good guides and tutorials on that particular topic. I mentioned as well in the first part of this particular talk, predictive analytics. Well, step 3 here is going to up the game again. Using AI, we can do this properly. I mean, really properly. Predicting future trends in search behavior and algorithm updates using AI. So predictive tools are already out there. SEMrush is now using AI to forecast traffic changes. Bright Edge is doing it there and it's claiming to be doing it, almost in real time. We can automate content adjustments even using some of these tools. They can dynamically adjust the content on an automated basis based on predicted visitor behavior. How cool is that? Maybe you're A/B testing a particular post. Maybe you've got some subtle differences between two pages. And actually, in real time, as a particular audience comes through one page versus the other one more effectively, that second page can be adjusted in real time. The power, just reflect on that just for a moment. Back in the day where we had one version of our website, we had one version of our content, we put in some long tail key phrases, some nice images that were tagged, and we felt our job was done. We're now talking about automated content adjustments, dynamically adjusting based on the effectiveness of certain pages on our website. So our site is actually inherently learning as it produces this content and as it publishes that content and pushes it in front of our audience. Continuous improvement on steroids at step 3 in our use of AI. Step 4, optimizing for AI-driven search engines. So, I mentioned a couple of times already that Perplexity AI is the big player currently in this market. Others are available, but if you haven't used it, go and play perplexity.ai. It provides answers with citations generated by a number of large language models. So it is looking across the web. It is looking deep. It is finding the best, most reliable sources, peer-reviewed, academic, scientific, commercial, whatever it is you want to see. So what can you do to appear in the searching, if you like, that Perplexity is doing? Because ultimately, that's really where we want to go. I mean, this is quite daunting stuff, actually, if you haven't really done SEO before, but just think about it. If you focus on comprehensive content, data that's well structured, that is actually going to extract relevant information as an AI from your content to really help people go from A to B or to do X, Y, or Z, then you get a chance really to figure in that conversation. This is about rethinking how we used to write content, how we used to put guides on the or data sheets on the website, how we used to do long form blogs and news articles. We're rethinking here, clear language and structure, creating content that's easy for AIs to process. Again, schema markup comes into play here big time, helping the AI to understand the context, if you like, of your content. You need to go, you really do need to go and do a deeper dive into schema.org. Or if you have a website that is powered or run on the WordPress platform, go to yoast.com and look at some of the schema markup for AI tutorials, because you can get a real sense of where this is going. It is fascinating stuff. For me, as a marketer, obviously been doing this stuff for a long, long time, I don't think I've ever been as impressed as to how close now these tools, this market, this whole engine optimization, be it search or be it AI, how close it's coming to what we desire as marketers to actually help us to serve our customers. It really is front and center now. And I've certainly never seen anything as powerful as this. So the more we can get our heads around this opportunity, the bigger we grow as marketers, the more effective we are, and of course, the more measurable the stuff that we're doing. Now, there are a lot of other things, AI-driven search engine result page features that are beginning now. So SERP results are now beginning to be driven by AI. So the Q&A formats that we have been talking about before that create answers that directly answer questions, again, is so key. And this will increase the chances of appearing both in the AI search, but also, as we said earlier, as part of those featured snippets. And it's really interesting as well when you start to go deeper into SERP features, is the importance of this stuff and this topic based around the difference between searching and viewing content, and as a marketer, publishing content between mobile and desktop. We're going to see some really, really interesting little features here. There was an article produced and some infographics produced by SEMrush recently that is actually showing us that there are very, very significant differences in the things that you can do based on where you know your customers are. So if you find your customers are predominantly, maybe up to 90%, coming through to your website based on a mobile search or based on mobile interactivity, then you know there are certain things you can focus on, and this infographic will give you that detail. Whereas if you're very much more about a sort of a Q&A style presence on the web, then there are other things that you can do that will actually then enable you to get into the featured snippet, which is a feature that is very, very much in demand on desktop, for example. Now, I don't know the reasons why this might be. Maybe AI can help us to delve more deeply, but these are just from a very, very reliable source, some of the things that you can do and focus on when you know where your priorities are. Because ultimately, really what we're doing is we're opening up a series of choices here, really, and opportunities to go a little bit deeper into this particular area. So how can we kind of adapt what we're doing? We've seen SEO and some of the current trends. We now know there's this new kid on the block, AIO, and we're going to start to then use Perplexity both as a search tool, but also use it to go deeper into finding out how we can create content in all its forms that will actually pay back, if you like, when people search through AI. But I think for me, the big thing right now, because both are in play, and it isn't just SEO, it is AIO too. So I think a hybrid approach is what I would be recommending you do right now, optimizing for both Google and AI first search engines. So thinking about monitoring AI search platforms, staying updated, particularly on platforms like Perplexity, and also looking and watching and tracking Google's advancements with Gemini. That's its own AI version of its search and interrogation platform. It's different to Google search. So if you haven't searched on Google Gemini or looked at Google Gemini, go and check that one out too. It's kind of like ChatGPT, but it's not, it's Google. So that's worth a look. And experiment with AI optimization. So continuously adapt and refine your content strategy based on those KPIs I was talking about, and just go a little bit deeper. Each time you do it, test something. Each time you produce a blog or an article, or you've got to get that newsletter out, just think, what can I test this time? Can I go a little bit deeper this time? What opportunities can I see? Maybe I'm going to start to think a little bit more about AI on this one. Maybe I'm going to think about how would this come across if somebody searched in ChatGPT and found me through this particular inquiry. So go a little bit deeper, be more challenging to what it is you're doing, because that's where the fun's really going to start. So I think the key takeaways here for both SEO and AIO, even if we're going to go with this hybrid approach, are pretty consistent. And for me, for SEO, it's prioritizing user or visitor experience. It's getting really, really up to speed with voice search, and also obviously mobile optimization, putting that front and center of your attention. And then keeping content aligned with Google's algorithm updates, always having a feed through as to what's the next thing. So maybe, yeah, as I say, having some kind of a little news feed in there. So you're always, right at the heart of this game, and it's an ever-changing game. And then for AIO, I'd say leveraging AI tools for your keyword research, obviously as content creation, we all know that one, but also then predictive analytics. Start to really test it out. When you get some data or report, put that into ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, what do you think of this? What could I do differently next week or next month? And then optimizing for these emerging AI-first search engines like Perplexity. Go in and have a play with Perplexity, but view it from a customer perspective in terms of how you search for things and what your expectation is. Almost record what you do and see how it feels and see what results come back, and then put yourself on the other foot as the marketer, serving that same content back from the other side of the equation. It's a very interesting little experience to take both sides. So my top 3 actions that I would recommend you do to take the next step for optimal SEO and AIO. Number 1, prioritize the user experience and core web vitals. Google is increasingly valuing user experience in the rankings, focusing on core web vitals like load speed, interactivity, and visual stability. So your next steps, I would say, is get a little checklist together, improve your site speed. You can always do better at that. Optimize your images. We said about compression, making sure that they're fit for purpose, ensuring you've got a responsive design for mobile first in all cases, and create clean, easy to read layouts that enhance your visitor journey. Again, it's not rocket science, but that is absolutely the vital first of your 3 actions. Action 2 is to leverage AI tools for your keyword research and your content creation. So AI-driven tools can significantly enhance your SEO. We know that. We've seen that come through here in a number of cases. So by identifying search trends, clustering your keywords, get it to do that too, and generate optimized relevant content off the back of that. You can use Surfer SEO, Clearscope, and Frase, and they will do the hard yards for you. This will be AI-powered keyword research. And importantly, remember, because there's a competitive thing here, content gap analysis. Ask for those gaps in the content and those keywords that are being missed out by the rest of the market, because you can grab those and take those for your best results. So focus on producing high quality optimized content that, as I said right at the outset here, satisfies both the searcher queries and also these new AI-driven algorithms that we've been talking about. And point 3, step 3, action 3 is optimizing for voice search. That is the key one here. With voice search growing and AI-first search engines like Perplexity rising, optimizing for conversational queries, those kind of very conversational content style queries in search, is absolutely crucial. So target long-tail keywords and question-based content. Give the answers to those typical questions your target audience wants to ask, and optimize for voice search. Remember the schema markup? That will enhance AI's understanding of what you're trying to do. So get behind the scenes and backstage and start to do your schema markup there. And start monitoring AI-first search platforms to refine your SEO approach. This might be something you could do once a week or even once a day. One little step, one little improvement every single day in this area will fundamentally change how your brand will appear digitally. These steps combine traditional SEO techniques with these emerging AI opportunities, and they will ensure that your content remains both visible but also competitive across all of these evolving search platforms.